am Retro. This is Retro Rips. Let's talk about Full Metal. Full Metal Alchemist is probably one of the most important shows you'll ever watch in your entire life. Why is that? Well, it teaches you some very basic ideas about life that you most likely won't come across on your own. The teachings of alchemy, or at least the basics of the teachings of alchemy. You're not going to learn the entire manuscript by watching the show, but you'll get the gist of it. So what is it that's so important about alchemy that most people should watch FMA at least one time in their life before they die? At its core, alchemy is transformation, taking something and turning it into something else. For example, if you were able to turn lead into gold, you would be an alchemist. Through the use of alchemy, it's even possible to manipulate the very soul of a human being. In theory, you could take dozens of human souls and create what is known as a philosopher's stone in this show. Basically the sum of thousands of human lives in order to create something new and wonderful. And that's the basic premise of the show. Characters have the ability to manipulate matter around them into any shape or form that they want. In layman's terms, they're all a bunch of wizards. I cast this spell on you, but only if the alchemical circle is complete. But there are limits. You have to take matter out of something in order to put it into something. It's not as simple as just creating it. There are laws to this kind of thing. Scientific laws. Like the law of conservation most prominently. And that's the show, an exaggeration of the principles of alchemy to the point where everything that they believe in alchemy actually exists in this show. You get to learn some real down-to-earth ideology, like what would happen if you took a human and fused it with an animal in order to try and give it a soul. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. The show starts like this. One day, two boys lose their mother to some tragic accident. I think she just gets sick and dies, like from a fever or something. They become real wizards at this process called alchemy, through which they try and bring their mother back to life. And when they've learned enough to attempt to bring their mother back to life, it all goes horribly wrong. It turns out that no matter how hard you try, in this show, it is completely impossible to ever bring a human soul back to life. A human soul is simply something that you cannot create. It was unique to the person who had it, and now that it's gone, it will never be reproduced again. And any attempt to reproduce it will only create a copy, and not an actual physical recreation of the same exact soul. But they try anyway. They fuck up, fail miserably, and God takes away one of the brothers' bodies as punishment for attempting something so taboo in the first place. But not ready to lose both his baby brother and his mother, one of the Elric brothers makes a deal with God. If he can't get his brother's body back, he'll trade God his left arm for his soul. And it works. He's able to take his brother's soul and fuse it into a set of armor that's lying around in the room where they're performing this crazy voodoo ritual thing. And this is only like the first episode of the anime, or maybe even like the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the anime. And it doesn't stop there. Every character in this story to some extent plays God, because it's kind of hard not to when you can create all this stuff out of practically nothing. And each character learns a different lesson by playing God in this show. But what's most important is how it ends. At the end of the anime, God literally comes down and is fused into the ultimate evil of ultimate evils within the show. So the characters inevitably end up having to go against the will of God themselves in order to create the ideal world as they see it in their minds. It's pretty deep. And if you've never been introduced to these concepts before, it gets you thinking about life in a completely different way. The line between good and bad blurs. Deciding whose side you're on is actually pretty difficult. For anybody who's never watched it, FMA is one of the most important animes you could probably ever watch in your entire lifetime. Period. Just prepare for your brain to become a little tiny pile of insignificant mush floating about in a huge sea of information that most people probably can't completely process on their first watch over. So watch it a second time. Watch it a third. Colonel Mustang's my favorite. If you're ready for a world of corrupt politicians, spitting in the face of God, pondering the nature of existence, the indomitable will of man, and the ability to literally transform anything you see into anything else you could think of, this is a show for you. I am Retro. This is Retro Rips. Hey dipshit, I'm back. You know, to be honest, you got some pretty nice toys. Nah, it's pretty impressive. But you know, I upgrade. Enough of this. I have one last move left. What, you trying one of your little Kai attacks again? Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. Anything you got, I can do better.